Welcome to another daily allegory with astrological divination. Today's story is the Black Cube of Deprivation, the monster that bled without a blow made by hand. The stars decree, the covenant demands, in whispers we govern, through the elements we obscure, in static we command, in nightmares we pursue. We are earth and air, we are fire and water, we are the remembered, we are the returned, we are the whispers, in silence we thrive. With the Saturn sextile Uranus in 8th, we have the shadow judgment of Kronos. Now, the title combines the mythological and restrictive energies of Saturn, being Kronos, with the sudden, disruptive, and transformative themes of Uranus and the 8th house. The shadow judgment, this phrase evokes a dark, hidden, and karmic aspect of Saturn. The shadow refers to the unconscious and unacknowledged parts of ourselves that the 8th house rules, including deep psychological complexes, fears, and suppressed trauma. With karmic lessons, Saturn's presence suggests that the judgment or reckoning is not arbitrary, but rather an unaddressed karmic lesson related to the intimacy, shared resources, or power dynamic aspects of Saturn itself. Through unconscious memories, it implies that this judgment forces the individual to confront and integrate the psychological complexes and wounds buried in the unconscious mind. Failure to do so can lead to unconscious sabotage of relationships and finances. Kronos here is the Greek personification of time. Kronos represents the slow, relentless, and inevitable nature of Saturn's effects. With delayed consequences, the slow movement of Saturn means that the judgment here may not be sudden, but rather the culmination of a long-term buildup of issues related to the 8th house. It's like somebody getting away with something and getting away with something and getting away with something and thinking they're above the law. This is intentional, so the culmination can come full circle, and the buildup is more cataclysmic and catastrophic to their well-being altogether. Now, with patience and maturity, Kronos demands patience and perseverance. The judgment forces the individual to mature and take responsibility for the deeper issues rather than avoiding them. Saturn here being judgment, karma, and structure. When in the 8th house, Saturn focuses on serious lessons and limitations related to shared resources, taxes, debt, inheritances, and intimate relationships. Now, this placement can bring restrictions and fears, but also provide an opportunity for profound maturity and resilience. With Uranus, this is going to be the disruption, the awakening, and the revolution. In the 8th house, Uranus brings sudden, unexpected, and often chaotic beyond means, like chaos on chaos, changes to matters of intimacy and shared resources. Now, Uranus's energy is a disruptive force that can bring sudden financial shifts, unexpected insight, or radical change in deep relationships. The sextile is going to be the window and the opportunity. Now, this aspect between Saturn and Uranus offers a window for a constructive rather than destructive transformation, depending on how you use the energy itself, or alchemize it. Now, the energies of stability with Saturn and change, Uranus, work together to create an opportunity for meaningful progress. With the combination of the elements, this interpretation of the shadow judgment in Kronos suggests a few things here. We've got a timely reckoning. The sextile provides the opportunity to address long-standing fears, attachments, and karmic patterns through Saturn. We have a revolutionary awakening that happens. This reckoning is catalyzed by a sudden insight or event, being Uranus, forcing a radical confrontation with the unconscious. We've got releasing control. The judgment here is an internal process that forces an individual to surrender control and embrace profound, lasting transformation rather than resisting it. Through constructive destruction, there's a difference between absolute destruction, constructive destruction. While it may feel like a crisis or a judgment, It is a necessary breakdown of old, outdated structures to make way for a more liberated, authentic version of the self. With Saturn conjunct Neptune in the 9th, we've got the weight of false authority. Now, this is a poem inspirationally taken from this conjunction, and it reads as follows. The fog of false faith settles on the schoolyard, and chalk lines blurred where truth was once declared. A stern decree, in tones both clear and hard, erased the questions that the children shared. The compass spun, no north could be discerned. The atlas faded to a sepia stain. For sacred lands the pilgrims still had yearned, though their foundations crumbled in the rain. And in the hall, where judges wore the gown, a shadow fell upon the scales of right. The law once carved to hold a city's crown was whispered in the myth into the long, long night. The prophets, cloaked in robes of pious gray, spoke of a distant, ever-dissolving shore. They built a chapel from the river's clay upon the shifting sounds of an old war. The weight is on the wind, a silent dread, a structure built on nothing, thin and grand. The elders stare ahead, their visions fled. A tower rising in a phantom land. For when the frame of truth begins to bend, and holy visions turn to smoke and lies, the bitter fall is only a matter of when the phantom king will vanish from their eyes. Now, the key elements of this poem are Saturn's weight. Now, Saturn is the planet of structure, authority, and boundaries. It represents the weight of tangible reality and established systems, including law, education, and religion. Now, this poem's imagery of chalk lines blurred, decree, and sacred lands reflects Saturn's heavy-handed influence on dogma and social order. With Neptune's false visions, with Neptune being the planet of illusions, dreams, and dissolving boundaries, it represents the false aspect of the authority, blurring the line between reality and fantasy. The poem's references to fog, faded atlas, and phantom land, evoking Neptune's influence, suggesting a spiritual or ideological belief system built on a untrustworthy foundation combined with word witchery and a spoken word charm. The 9th house domain here governs belief, higher education, law, and philosophy. Now, the poem's setting in a schoolyard, court, or a chapel all fall under the 9th house domain, indicating that the confusion and disillusionment of the conjunction are playing out on a collective, societal scale. Now, this ominous conjunction here intensifies the energies with the planets, especially when Saturn's need for solid structure meets Neptune's dissolving fog. It creates a confusion and a crisis of faith, if you will. This can result in disillusionment with established institutions, as the poem's narrative suggests. Now, this ominous tone comes from the knowledge that the current system is an illusion and cannot last. The fall of the Phantom King, the poem's conclusion points to the inevitable outcome of this celestial influence. It's like cosmic order overthrowing old dominion to reinstall original dominion. Now, the Phantom King here is going to be a figure of false authority, propped up by belief but lacking real substance. It's destined to fall when the illusions are finally shattered. It's like a group held together with a common goal, personal gain, but all fail to embody the concept of loyalty, as quick come-ups might be the extent and depth of their being, leaving room for arrogance, errors, paranoia, then finally conflicts between groups, people, or alliances, leading to, as they put it, rolling over on one another. With Saturn sextile Pluto in the 10th, we've got the sentence of the Elder God. The title itself uses the karmic ancient authority of Saturn via the Elder God here, with the deep transformative power of Pluto, specifically as it applies to one's public life and career in the 10th house. The word sentence refers to a karmic culmination of judgment delivered by these higher forces. The elder god here, being Saturn's mythological roots, in Roman mythology, Saturn was an elder god, the god of time, and the father of Jupiter. As the Greek titan Kronos, he symbolized a relentless and patient passage of time, which brings all things to a final reckoning. With true karmic authority, astrologically, Saturn is the planet of karma, responsibility, and discipline. It brings long-term consequences, both good and bad, based on past actions and choices. Now, the elder god title here emphasizes the ancient, impersonal authority with which Saturn operates. The sentence is going to come in through a decisive outcome. This word captures the decisive nature of the transit itself. Now, a sentence is not a negotiation. It is a final, often rather heavy judgment. It is, in this context, representing a culmination of past choices, discipline, or lack thereof within the 10th house domains. With transformation and fate, with Pluto involved specifically, the sentence is not merely a consequence, but a complete transformation. It signifies the end of one's professional cycle and the beginning of another, often involving a death, whether physical or theoretical, of the old professional identity to make way for a more empowered one. Now, in the 10th house, with Saturn governed career, public image, and authority, it bestows ambition and demands hard work and patience for success. This isn't something we could just steal from somebody else. This is earned. This placement suggests that the professional achievements come later in life. They are hard-won and can involve tests of character and inherent integrity. That's a key word there. Integrity. Learn it. Like accountability. Probably don't know that one either. If you know, you know. Now, Pluto being transformation, power, and rebirth here. In the 10th house, this is going to bring intensity in power struggles and profound transformation to one's career or reputation, however that comes out. Now, this placement signifies a deep desire to leave a lasting legacy and can involve public rises and falls, catastrophic falls, that lead to reinvention. Now, with the sextile, this is going to be a constructive opportunity, if you understand what creation and construction is. But most just power and domination and destruction and terror, you will never embody the sextile. Not in that energy. The powers that be couldn't even channel that in 3 at all. Now, this sextile is going to embody an immense heavy energy of Saturn with Pluto, constructively working through this transit to offer a window for change. Rather than forcing it destructively and trying to strong-arm somebody, it provides the strategic, and that's a key word in this phase, strategic. That requires actual intellect, not self-inflated ego, but the ability to control and channel deep transformative energies towards professional ambitions, allowing for deliberate and positive changes to one's career and legacy. Now, the sentence in practice here, in this context specifically, is the moment when an individual reaches a decisive point in their career, not by luck, but as a result of their long-term choices. It could be a reward. A delayed reward for years of discipline and hard work finally materializes, like reaching a long-coveted position of power, not by sacrificing somebody's life through excessive force and abuse of power and authority for a low-tier position in a religious cult or organization, but a real powerhouse seat that could have been preordained or destined through the anointing of God himself. Not your God, my God, the actual grand architect of everything that is, was, and will ever be. Now, gifted one to lead the hive to greatness through means of communication that would probably scare the shit out of most people. We'll use telepathy as an example, through connection and leadership being a top-tier A+ premium example of this. Now, this could also come through a reckoning. Now, a necessary confrontation with past unethical behavior or power struggles through Pluto, leading to a public downfall. This is where you collectively collaborate with people to try to destroy somebody. At some point, that is going to come back full circle, and the ring will close. That is going to be an embarrassing downfall publicly for the group, obviously. Now, this is going to force a profound rebuilding of one's reputation, if it can be saved, that is. That's Saturn, though. And finally, we got transformation. Now, the individual is going to make deliberate, strategic decisions to end one career path and embark on a new one, using their inner power and wisdom through Pluto to build a new, more authentic structure through Saturn. We got Saturn trine Lilith in the 12th as the taskmaster's decree. Now, the title speaks to a karmic culmination, a necessary alignment of energies that enforce discipline and confronts deeply repressed aspects of the self for ultimate healing and liberation. Decoding this title, we have the Taskmaster. This refers to Saturn, the planet of karma, responsibility, and discipline. Saturn acts as the cosmic accountant, if you will, demanding that we face our fears and take responsibility for our actions and limitations. In this context, the Taskmaster is working from the depths of the unconscious to bring order to repressed parts of the psyche. With a decree here, and this entire section is a decree, it's going to be the culmination and declaration of a final unchangeable judgment. The trinal aspect with Lilith in the 12th is going to suggest that this decree is not harsh or destructive, but rather a finality but harmonious command from the universe. It's non-negotiable. The instructions are to integrate the hidden and wild repressed aspect of the self and lead it to healing. True healing, not forced, face, false, or miserable healing. Actual weight off the chest healing. It's a necessary rite of passage. It's like an initiation into a hidden group that doesn't even operate in the seen physical realm, that wields immense power for above the powers of three or the powers that be. This would be a direct link to the primordial essence of all that ever was, all that is, and all that ever will be. That's a hell of an initiation. That's way above the unseen school of invisibility. Now, in the astrological context, the story is going to come through as the karmic responsibility and the unconscious. The 12th house is of the unconscious, karma, and what is hidden and self-undoing. With Saturn here in this house, this represents a deep-seated fear, past life debts, and the need for disciplined approach to our inner life. One must be cautious when walking in the minefield. It is the quiet, often lonely work of confronting spiritual boundaries and integrating hidden weaknesses. Now, with Lilith here in the 12th, this is the repressed feminine and the collective shadow. With the Black Moon Lilith, this is going to represent primal, untamable feminine instinct that has been exiled, repressed, or judged. Keep in mind, guys, this isn't just an energy exclusive to women. And having Lilith as one of your 9 totem heads of matriarchy can truly have astronomical benefits. In the 12th house, Lilith's shadow is buried deep in the collective unconscious and personal subconscious. It is the hidden shame, rage, and untamed desires that operates just below the surface, influencing behavior in hidden ways. Now, the trinal aspect coming through with resolution and integration, it's going to be a connection that allows the serious structuring energy of Saturn to constructively, there's that word again, constructively, work with the repressed instinctual energy of Lilith. Instead of an explosive or destructive confrontation where we're just losing our shit and, checking out. But what's the new saying? Crashing out. That's crashing out. It's going to offer a pathway for calm, disciplined integration of the shadow self through the inner triangle or triad of well-being, where we are the mind navigating with our legs. This is our inner triangle right here. Now, the Taskmaster's decree therefore represents the following. Read between the lines. The command to integrate the shadow. The universe, through Saturn, is decreeing that it is time to face the unconscious aspects of the self represented by Lilith. The hidden shame, anger, and untamed instincts can no longer be repressed. or contained. Healing through discipline, the trine is going to provide a structure and grounded path towards healing. Instead of being overwhelmed by the unconscious, the individual has the inner resources, Saturn, to approach their deepest wounds, which is going to be Lilith in the 12th, with maturity and patience. Now, the path to liberation is going to be by consciously integrating these hidden energies. One is going to transcend the limitations that they once imposed upon themselves. The taskmaster's decree ultimately frees the individual from their self-undoing patterns, leading to profound spiritual growth and liberation. The sentence is not a punishment, but a path to freedom. Whether you get to enjoy the freedom or not is up to Saturn, and I mean, it's way out of your hands at this point. With the stellium, we have Saturn, North Node, and Moon in Pisces coming through as the jurisprudence, which is going to be a key word here, of Shani. Now, this title blends the astrological influences of structure and karma, which is Saturn, through Shani, with the receptive, emotional, and fated qualities of Pisces, which is the Moon and the North Node, to describe the process of karmic accountability. There's that key word again. Now, the jurisprudence of Shani, in Vedic astrology, Shani is the deity representing Saturn and the embodies karma, discipline, and justice. He is known as a stern but fair teacher who rewards righteous acts and brings the consequences of past actions, whether positive or negative, back to the surface. Now, jurisprudence is a term that refers to the philosophy or science of law. The phrase the jurisprudence of Shani thus suggests a divine or cosmic legal system where the universal law of karma is applied with rigor and precision. It's like being a surgeon with a scalpel. One must be precise in every sense of the word. There is no room for error at this point. The alignment is seen as a time when a fated, compassionate, but inevitable judgment is passed. It's like a testing the waters repetitively with a cosmic judge. You think you're one up on someone, but the whole time you've just been poking God's sleeping giant hidden in plain sight. This is only going to awaken this sleeping giant to ultimately end a spiritual war that's probably been going on for eons. Only in this lifetime, the tables have turned in the most profound way. The nameless primordials have awakened in this play, and they are not amused with the game, we'll call it. With Saturn in Pisces, this is going to be where structure meets sensitivity. Saturn, the planet of structure and boundaries, is in Pisces. It's a mutable water sign known for its spirituality, imagination, and boundless empathy. This combination forces a grounding of spiritual ideas into concrete, compassionate action, leading to a dissolving of fears. Now, the placement can bring anxiety or a feeling of being unmoored. But Saturn's discipline helps turn these watery emotions into a structured spiritual practice. With the North Node in Pisces, this takes us on our karmic path. Now, the North Node represents our soul's destined path for growth in this lifetime. In Pisces, this path involves releasing control and ego, which is South Node in Virgo. This is going to lead us to embracing our intuition, our faith, and a compassionate service. With soul-level invitation, the conjunction of Saturn and the North Node, which is a rare placement of that, and a powerful event, this acts as an architect guiding a fated new trajectory. It's like when the Cosmic Alliance overthrows the 99, bringing about a new leadership and a new trajectory for the true ascension and evolution to take place to truly get progress in action. This is going to encourage rewriting of a core life narrative based on karmic readiness. With the Moon in Pisces, this is intuition and emotion coming through. Now, the Moon naturally governs emotion, intuition, and subconscious patterns. In Pisces, it is deeply sensitive, empathetic, and attuned to the spiritual and collective unconscious. With emotional integration, the Moon's presence brings the emotional, intuitive self into the process of this karmic transformation. This is past wounds that can be processed and healed with compassionate detachment and letting go, if you will. Now, the combined interpretation of these alignments suggests a spiritual reckoning. The individual is being brought before a cosmic court. This judge, if you will, is going to be Shani, or karmic law, which operates through the compassion and dissolving lens of Pisces. With emotional honesty, the presence of the Moon means this process involves deep emotional and psychological introspection. The compassionate Pisces here, judgment requires facing and integrating past emotional issues. With a fated transformation, the North Node's influence signifies that this karmic judgment is not arbitrary punishment, but a fated step towards a higher spiritual destiny. It encourages a release of old wounds, being the South Node in Virgo, to make way for a more intuitive, empathetic, and meaningful life. This is where we begin to embrace our wisdom. The individual is tasked with facing past karmic debts and spiritual lessons with humility and patience, ultimately gaining wisdom on a new, divinely guided path forward. That's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you found it entertaining. Stay dharmic.